Okay, now that I've got the iPhone 5, I thought we'd just take a quick look at it alongside a couple of other handsets. One being the 4S, and one being the Samsung Galaxy S3. Let's start with the 4S, because that's going to be the one that I guess that a lot of people are going to be upgrading from. Okay, obviously the first biggest difference between the two is the size of the screen. Obviously the 5S is a taller screen, so you've got an extra row of icons in there, but the width of the handset left to right is exactly the same, just the handset is about 3/4 of an inch taller. It is definitely thinner than the 4S. I think this is predominantly down to the fact that the 5 has the aluminium back cover on it, whereas the 4S has quite a thick glass cover. And by the looks of it, to me, the glass screen on the 5 is thinner than it was on the 4S. You've got quite a lot of gap there, so I think that's the bulk of that. The 4S definitely feels heavier than the 5, but I think that was announced in the specs. As you take a look around the device, on the top, the 4S has the earphone jack and the noise cancelling mic up there, but when you take a look on the 5, there is nothing on the top at all apart from the power button. On the left hand side, it's the same. You've got the mute switch and the volume adjuster buttons. On the right hand side, again, just the SIM access ports. Obviously on the 4S it's slightly larger because that's micro SIM. On here it's slightly smaller because it's nano SIM. And then on the bottom now we've got much larger microphone and speaker grills. The headphone jack is on the bottom, there it is, and obviously the Lightning port connector. On the front, you've got the front camera, speaker grill button, virtually the same thing here. The difference here is that obviously the proximity sensors were behind a black panel there, but you just won't see them on here, but they will be there somewhere. On the back here, camera and flash, but on the iPhone 5 it's camera, noise cancelling mic and flash, but apart from that, not a terribly different layout on them. Where you do notice the big difference is obviously a comparison size with the likes of the Samsung Galaxy. Obviously you've got a front LED on the Galaxy S3, but the size of screen is just so substantially different on the Galaxy. Yeah, it's quite substantially bigger and wider. Some people prefer that. To me, the iPhone is just right in the hands, whereas the Samsung is just a little bit too big. The other thing is the Samsung is all pretty much plastic feeling, whereas there's a certain feeling of solidity with the iPhone. Yeah, and the nice machined edges. It's one of those things. I mean, both phones have sold in the millions, and I'm sure that there'll be people that say they prefer the the Galaxy S3. There'll be people that sing the praises of the iPhone 5. At the end of the day, they are both very worthy phones, and I think you should be happy with whatever you get. Spec wise, between the 4S and the 5, there is obviously the better processor, more RAM, and the bigger screen on the 5. But again, the 4S is a very, very worthy phone. If you're having to work on a budget, and you don't watch lots of videos or play lots of powerful games, then there's no reason not to go for the 4S, because like I say, it runs really well with a new iOS 6 on it. It's a very good phone. If you can afford at the moment to go for the iPhone 5, or you like watching video because you've got a wider screen here so it's not going to run in letterbox mode, then that's a brilliant choice. So there you are. There's all three side by side.